Hey guys, it looks to me like we are live from my end. So let me know if I'm coming through loud and clear. I can see there's a bunch of people in the room already, which is fantastic. Kristen says hello from Colorado. Beautiful. Okay, so we've got, plenty of people flooding in, which is fantastic. Just keep an eye on that. Just before we kick off, as people are still coming into the room, I thought I'd turn my camera on today. I don't usually turn my camera on, but it's sort of, feels a little, we'll see how we go. It feels to me like it's a little bit more personal. Sometimes I feel a bit impersonal when I don't have my camera on. Excuse the bed hair. It's, what are we turning? 6 a.m. down here in Melbourne. Sorry, not in Melbourne, up here on the Sunshine Coast. So still quite early in the morning, as I'm sure it is for many of you. I think we've got about 8 p.m. over there in Europe, UK. Sort of nice civilized midday hour in the States on Pacific time. Yeah, plenty of people were rushing in now. So Hugo down there in the Canary Islands. I was down there, I think last year or the year before, down in Lanzarote. Had a really great time, Hugo. Dan from Scotland, David from sunny London. Is that a joke or are we serious? Hoping it is sunny there today, David. Jenny, beautiful. Paul, got it. Fantastic. Hey, Veronica from Estonia. Brings back memories. I spent some time in Estonia back in the day. Jillian, Kemp from Colorado, Mary, loud and clear. Awesome. Okay, so lots and lots of people. And I can see I've put a bit of a typo in there. In my sticky note at the top, say g'day and let me know. Assuming you all mean let me know, which is why you're jumping in to say hi. G'day, Dino, Mary, Ciro from Rome. Beautiful. So numbers are definitely creeping up, which is awesome. So a little bit of quick housekeeping before we dive in. Scott has just popped on in Michigan up north. Beautiful. So it'll be getting pretty cold up there right now, I'd imagine. A little bit of housekeeping, guys. Now, with this Webinar Jam software, you're going to see, I think it'll be up in your right-hand corner, possibly. You'll see a refresh button. So if at any time you lose audio or it freezes or anything like that, the best thing you can do is just hit that refresh button and it'll jump you straight back in and it should be pretty smooth. If all hell breaks loose, which it has happened once, and everything shuts down and things really the wheels fall off, I've got a panic button here, which is a great new feature of Webinar Jam. I can just hit that panic button, and what it's going to do is just bring all of you into a new room. I think it takes about 6 or 7 seconds. It's awesome. Well, I've had to use it once. And we just start where we left off in a whole new room. So I'd be kind of relying on you guys in the chat there just to say, Josh, everything, I can't hear you, everything's frozen, and then we'd address that. So the first thing you do is hit that refresh button, which is really effective. Second thing you're going to do is let me know in the chat. There's some problems out there. Boom, I'll get us all over into a new room. Just last thing, maybe switch off notifications. I've done that. I forget from time to time so that you can, concentrate fully. And, it's going to be awesome. I've got about an hour's worth of content here, my absolute best stuff. Lots of people still coming into the room, which is great. Doug from Fairbanks, Carmen over there in Romania, Liz up there in Alaska. We're getting pretty cold right now as well. Awesome. So, look, without further ado, I think we'll just dive straight in. And I've prepared this workshop. I ran one very, very similar a few weeks back, which was amazing. Had a huge turnout. I was blown away by how many people not only turned out, how many people caught the replay, how many people emailed me afterwards to say they really loved it and they got so much out of it. So fantastic. And so I thought it made sense to run a bit of an encore for you. So I'll get to any questions that you guys have for me at the end in Q&A. If there's something that I see in the chat that's relevant that I think I can sort of tackle at that point in time, then 100% I'll try and do that. If not, just rest assured that I'll get on any questions when we get to the end of the workshop. So without further ado, guys, how to load your tours with locals in 6 easy steps. Just let me know when I start progressing through the slides that they're actually progressing as well. They're not sort of frozen on slide 1. I'm waffling away on slide 10 and you're not catching up. So I'm guessing, guys, that my second slide has now progressed. Just let me know in the chat that that's the case. Let me know if it's not the case. That'd be awesome as well. A few people still coming in. So Caroline, Mark, awesome. Yeah, we've got a really, really great turnout. So I'm super pumped. So I guess we'll start with me. Why should you listen to me when it comes to this subject of loading your tours with locals? That's a really good question. Your time is precious, guys, and I thank you for being here. So that's me, obviously, and you can see me down there in the screen. All the way back in 2007, I started a day tour company called Melbourne, Australia. So I'm looking at the chat, looking at my slides, and I'm just seeing all these messages. Hey, Josh. Ken down there. I think you're down on the Gold Coast, Ken. Good to see you've jumped on. Jillian, awesome. It's progressed. So, all right, I'm going to leave the chat alone, focus on the slides, and let's get into the presentation. So, all the way back in 2007, what are we talking now? About 13 years ago, I started this day tour company down in Melbourne, Australia. My wife and I were sitting around one night with a bottle of wine thinking, no, what the hell are we going to do with our lives? I was actually an English teacher, which I didn't, hate, but I definitely didn't love. And I was like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. What do you want to do? And then we sort of went through a list of all the things that we loved, all the things that we didn't love. And, we traveled widely. We had this dream about filling our days, where that would lead us from a travel perspective. Certainly we loved our home destination, our city of Melbourne, and our home state had so much to offer. And after, a couple of hours, maybe it was a bottle of wine, maybe it was two, we came up with this crazy idea to start a day tour company. And it was a crazy idea. That's what it looks like today. Melbourne Private Tours. It's a really, really great company. It's going strong. I don't have anything to do with it, but I'll tell you about that in a second. But a really, really well-regarded private luxury day tour company down there in Melbourne, Australia, and servicing a whole range of areas in southern Australia. Now, when I started the company, the website definitely didn't look like that. It was pathetic. It was embarrassing. And I at the time, I had zero experience in business or in tourism. I'd literally been an English teacher. I had zero IT or admin skills. I had no networks or any support to help me out. Got a little bit of advice from some very, very bad sources, one being my father, who said, whatever you do, don't do it. It's a ridiculously, insanely stupid idea. Go out and get a job. I did the opposite. Thanks, Dad. I had no startup capital. I had, in those first couple of years, wow, like it was a grind. After 2 years, and I was busting my chops 60 hours a week. And I took in year two, after 2 years, in year two, I took home 20 grand working 60-hour weeks. And my wife was studying a master's in tourism at the time, wasn't really doing anything in the business. I was like, wow, this is insane. How we can't break through. We didn't have any plans. We had no vision. We had no systems. We had no strategies. It was literally waking up and thinking, what are we going to do today? We're just going to hustle and hustle and hustle and see what the next day brings. I was doing everything in the business, wearing all the hats. I was the admin and the reservations. I was the vehicle cleaner. I was stocking vehicle. I was maintenance. I was running all the tours. It was relentless. It was thankless. And every little bit of those dreams and visions I had were nothing like the reality. It frankly sucked. And I got that white flag out plenty of times, like save me. I just want to go and do something else. But I was kind of in it. Couldn't get out of it, and I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. When I started the business, when we sat down and we drank that bottle of wine and we had these visions for this beautiful company we wanted to build, and I had this vision of this beautiful luxury fleet of vehicles and vehicles rolling out in different directions. Well, the reality was this: a really crappy, beaten up, secondhand Toyota touring van with only me as the driver guide and the only vehicle we own. So if by chance we ever got a second booking in that early time, I had to hustle to find some crappy second-hand rental vehicle from somewhere else to get another tour on the road. So it wasn't fun, but we turned it around. There's a lot of reasons for that. There was a lot of pivotal moments, but we did turn it around. And that's a little picture of my wife and I. That was 5 years later, 2012, and you would have sent all those certificates, guys. A lot of you have probably received them, but that was kind of like a pivotal moment for us. That was at a trade show, the Australian Tourism Exchange. We started doing a lot of trade shows. We got a lot of advice. We got a lot of mentoring. Things started to click, and I can't really dive in today to all those things that happened in those 5 years. But 5 years later, it was a very, very different story, and we were doing okay. We kind of figured it out. It certainly wasn't perfect, but we figured it out, and life was getting better. We were making some money. We were traveling. We were well established. We were well regarded. I had that fleet of, a decent fleet of luxury vehicles that I dreamed of 5 years earlier. and I had a good team of staff, both tour guides and permanent staff in my office. I was doing over $1 million a year in revenue. It was a very, very different story, and we felt like we were making it. Long way to go, but we felt like we were making it. That's my my team that we built. 5 years later, you can see some of those lovely vehicles that we had. I had a good team of office staff. You can see there my general manager, my operations manager, my reservations manager, and a few of our senior tour guides. And I was really proud of what we'd done. We built a 7-figure business, but something kind of didn't feel right. It made me nervous or maybe uncomfortable. Didn't feel right. Something felt wrong. And the thing that felt wrong is that 95% of our customers were international customers. And of those 95%, 80% were from the USA. And, the other 20% I could have thrown a blanket over a whole range of other types of customers. So we're very, very reliant, and it made me nervous because a few things had happened in those first 5 years. Once we'd had once-in-a-generation bushfires down there in Melbourne and surrounding areas. And that really, really was stressful because the way it was reported globally in some international markets literally just put a stop on travel from those markets. One of those was the USA. And for a period of months, we had no business from there. Another one, I think, was the UK, which was another key market for us. So business bookings dried up from those markets. It was a really hard time. A year after we started, there was a global financial crisis, which created some huge, problems for us to actually get the traction we were looking for. A year after that, the bottom fell out of the American dollar, and travel to Australia became almost twice as expensive. Again, had a massive impact. So a lot of these things created some problems for us, really, really quickly, and it made me nervous. So what I decided then and there is that I needed to diversify. 95%, I'd literally probably done 5% of bookings from anywhere else, like local and domestic bookings, but I needed to diversify. I needed to get my eggs out of one basket, and so I decided to launch. There's a few reasons why, but I launched MPT Corporate Events, so servicing the local business, the corporate market. So Doug's saying bad internet here in Alaska, going to have to clear the bears off the router. Yeah, okay, Doug. Well, hopefully stay tuned. Let us know what's happening up there. Maybe hit refresh, and hopefully no one else is having the same type of experience. So what we did anyway, we created a division of Melbourne Private Tours that served the local corporate market, local businesses, things like team building challenges, small team events, company Christmas parties, reward and recognition days, small, short, sharp, fun on a shoestring type events, all these things that really spoke to the local corporate market. And I'm going to tell you how we did that in a few minutes, but it was a massive, massive success. What we've done is identify a local market segment that we'd identified that we never even considered before. And we focused in on them and delivered, developed or iterated, recreated, tweaked things that we had done previously that would really speak to, really appeal to that market. And it was a big hit. Within a really, really short period of time, it was actually about 2 years, we were doing $350,000 a year in revenue. And a year after that, $400,000 a year in annual revenue, just from that small division that complemented our 7-figure tour business that we created. And that was awesome because what it did is it pushed what was a 7-figure business into multi-7-figure territory. So it wasn't long after that we were doing $2 million plus a year in annual revenue. And a lot of that was down to the success we'd had in identifying, targeting, and serving that local business, that local market segment. And just to let you know what's possible, a short time after that, I actually sold that business, which is why I got nothing to do with it today. These days, I sold it. I got over 7 figures for the sale of that business. So that just goes to show what's possible. And, it wasn't easy. And man, there was some pulling hair moments. There was some wrong turns, some obstacles, some times that I just doubted whether it was all worth it. All those things, I had a lot of figuring out over that period of time. But ultimately, I was able to create a business that started with that, after year 2, taking home 20 grand, busting my chops, no way to scale. And I was able to do something pretty remarkable and get it to a point where I was able to sell it for over $1 million inside of 10 years. So that as I say, just goes to show what is possible. A lot of that came down to the success that I had serving the local market. So I talked about a blueprint a little, in my promotion for this workshop. And here's what we're going to cover in that blueprint. So first of all, who are you going to serve in the local or domestic market? Now, when I talk about local, I'm talking about your area, your immediate area. Okay, so like right in your destination. Domestic, I'm talking about, let's say, within your state or within your country. So the local market, let's say I don't live in Melbourne anymore. I live up on the Sunshine Coast up in Queensland. The weather's better, the surf's better, life's better. I love my home state, city, but life's good up here. So when I talk about the local market, I'm talking about inner Melbourne, like actually within your city, within your destination. Then you might go intrastate. So within your state, so for us, it was the state of Victoria, okay? So within the state borders, and then interstate would be from around your nation, from around your country. So I would probably refer to intra and interstate as domestic, okay? So how to find a domestic market segment you can serve now. And once you've identified a type of customer that you probably never even knew existed, or you just didn't know how to serve them, or you didn't think you could serve them, how to green light your idea, okay, with a really deep dive research technique. We look at some do's and don'ts when pricing. So pricing is something that a barrier that people come up to, that thing, that limiting belief, that thing where they say they won't pay for it, okay? They'll do it themselves. They haven't got the budget. Well, I'm going to blow those myths out of the water for you. And it's proven that they're myths. I can use my experience. I can use experiences from hundreds of different cases, tour operators having immense success with the local market, how to change your messaging to speak to a new customer, to change it from, it's kind of not for me, to, oh my God, they're speaking to me, I need this. Where do I sign up? Here's my credit card. And some marketing quick wins and top tips. So guys, hang around to the end of this presentation. As I said, it's about an hour, and I've got a gift for you, a whole bunch of resources that I'm going to leave you with that are going to help you really implement a lot of the stuff I'm teaching today. So stick around to the end and I'll show you how to get those. So why local? Why domestic? Why now? Well, the world, we can't speak generically, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Now, it's a crazy place. I'm not going to dive deep on how shitty this year's been. We all know that. But there's light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I can use examples from all over the world. I can use examples from Singapore, where locals are going wild for certain types of experiences that operators in our community are creating. I can talk about Australia. You try traveling up the east coast of Australia right now, you can't get a room anywhere for 2,000 kilometers. It is, people are traveling en masse. The caravanning stuff is booming. Restaurants you can't get restaurant reservations. Attractions are booked out. But Australians are going berserk for domestic travel, and because they can't travel overseas, if some of you talk about key destinations, you might have heard of a place called Byron Bay, which is like one of the most beautiful places on earth. People, it is just insane. People can't get into that town, can't get out of it. They can't get reservations for accommodation or restaurants for months and months and months. It is just booming. Domestic travel is booming. So that's Australia. I'm hearing reports all over the United States. So in certainly in regional areas, activities, experiences are just going berserk. People are traveling. They can't travel. They're looking closer to home for entertainment. They're looking closer to home to have their desires satiated. And we are seeing the same thing happening right now all over the world because people can't travel overseas. Now, you might be saying, it's not happening in my destination right now for reasons A, B, and C. Okay, so yes, maybe, and I'm going to talk about the issues that some destinations might have in a second, but it's going to be the first thing. Okay, so if you're sitting here and your business is suffering, well before you start serving international visitors again, long before you start getting that flood of visitors from the US or UK or Canada or Singapore or Hong Kong or wherever it is people come from and take your experiences, it's going to be your local, your domestic market. So either cashing in now is massive, is your ticket to success in this quick bounce back. And if it's not happening now, it is going to be the first thing, okay? A lot of you might be running virtual tours, virtual experiences. Awesome. That is another avenue to generate revenue. But aside from that, your ticket to recovery is going to be serving your local, intrastate, and interstate markets. And that's a fact. And it's going to be happening a long time because, yes, we've got a vaccine coming that people, there's debate, discussion about this all over the world. The vaccine will be coming at some point soon, whether we're taking it, not taking it. It's going to be there. It's going to help immensely. But there's going to be fears to break down. There's going to be a lot of reasons why, even when it is deemed safe to travel, that we're going to see a real delay in numbers, visitation in destinations getting back to what it was. So this is going to be your fastest ticket to recovery. And if you're not cashing in now, you need to get prepared, same thing. So who does the blueprint work for? Well, I just pulled together a list, and this is a list that comes literally from my community of people that are crushing it right now, okay? Absolutely crushing it right now. So if you're running wine tours, I've got people in this community that have literally had the best season they've ever had in 10 years. Boat cruises, kayaking tours that have had their breaker doubled revenue on the previous year. Hiking or walking, a little typo there, my apologies. Cycling, if you own like an attraction or a winery, go and speak to a winemaker in Australia right now. Yes, they've had some tough time, but their places are heaving. Now that things are open again, absolutely. They've never been busier. They cannot keep up. They can't get staff. They can't open their doors quick enough to get people through their places, sampling their products and taking their tours and behind-the-scenes experiences. Attractions, horse riding, zip line, if you're on photography tours, if you run culinary tours, stand-up paddling, architecture and history, rafting, sailing, if you're doing women-only experiences, running all-terrain vehicle tours. If you're doing these kind of things, then this is the type of blueprint that you should be following right now to get your business back on track and to literally make 2021 the breakout year, your breakout year, the best season, the best year you have ever had in your life. And if you're thinking, but I don't run these types of experiences, that's okay. Well, this is a tip of the iceberg type list, but how could you pivot? How could you, now I'm not a big fan of it, a bit of an overused word, pivot. How could you redesign? How could you iterate? How could you recreate? Could you do things that people are going crazy for right now? I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so moving right along, who might not have worked for? Now, it's a disclaimer. As I've said, this is not going to work for everyone. Okay, so if you run tours and you're like on a little tiny island that doesn't have a local market, it's just not viable. Get it, understand it. It's going to be really, really challenging for you. If you have got restrictions in place that have forced you to close, okay, of course you can't trade. Then right now, yes, you can be setting up, and as I just mentioned, you can be implementing this blueprint so you are ready to just be in the front row of that grid. The flag goes down, boom, you're off, and you are going to just cream your competitors. You are going to be ready to literally take off. Okay, so it's like a rocket ship. If your destination's in lockdown, you can't trade. You just simply people aren't allowed out. You can't trade. You got to find that hard. But again, it doesn't mean that you can't get the foundations in place right now. Your local market has extreme challenges. So I've got operators that run tours in really remote places in Africa, and there is no local market. So they bring international visitors in to take an experience. They don't have, well, what they haven't found yet is a viable local or domestic market. So get it, understand it. So it's not going to work for everyone, but I would say most tours and activities in most areas. So the first thing you need to do, guys, is get clear on who you're going to serve. So this is the time when you really need to be thinking outside the box. Who are you going to serve? And it starts with a hunch. It started with a hunch for me, okay, with local businesses. And I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. So here are some examples just to whet your appetite, to get your creative juices flowing, to really think about types of people in your local area, in your state, domestic, that you could be serving. So I'll just throw a pin at a few examples for you. Mature age, over 60s market. So, I know a lot of people in this segment that traditionally traveled 3 times a year. They did 3 overseas trips. They love it. They live for them. They plan them months and months in advance, and it's what they live for. So that mature age market, they're not going to be traveling for a long, long time. So there's going to be family pressure. There's going to be fear, elements of fear. There's going to be insurances that are hard to come by. So it's going to be a long time, I think, before that market, as a generalization, bounces back and starts traveling overseas. So there's going to be pent-up frustration, pent-up demand. There's going to be budgets that are allocated for overseas trips, and they're going to be wanting to spend that. Now, you might say, yeah, but Josh, but this is a market that's been hit hard. Their net worth is not what it was, and I don't see any potential there. Well, what you need to understand is that you don't need to appeal to everyone, okay? You need, from these segments, you need just a small piece of them, okay? Because they're massive, massive segments. There's a lot of people in the segments. You just need to speak to a small percentage to have outrageous success. International students. So there's a huge number here in Australia, and I know that it's the same in other corners of the world as well. So international students have had a really, really rocky road, a really, really tough year. They've been sitting in destination. They've been lonely. They've been isolated. They haven't been out spending money in cafes and restaurants and taking tours and all those kind of things. And they are certainly primed, geared to be getting out, to be meeting people, to be doing fun stuff, to be getting those cultural experiences that they long for, which was such a part of what they came to destination for. A lot of them have got budgets that haven't been allocated. They get support from home. So there's a lot of pent-up demand there as well. Sporting teams. Until a few years ago, I played state league soccer. And every year, right through the season, three times a year, we would do like a team bonding exercise. It might be like a team building challenge somewhere. It might just be a dinner in a restaurant. It might be a whole bunch of other things. But we did something 3 times a year. Now, sporting teams over the last 12 months have had a really, really rocky time, or 6-8 months, and the things have been shut down, haven't been training together, and now's the time, or if it's not happening right now, it's going to be happening really, really soon, where sporting teams, cricket, football, basketball, netball, tennis, whatever it is, they're going to be coming back together, and they're going to be wanting to reconnect, rediscover that magic that made them the team. So designing experiences that speak to local sporting teams, really laden with opportunity. I could run through this entire list, and I could probably double, triple, quadruple this list of specific market segments that you should consider that might be a fit for what you do. And as I say, it starts with a hunch. So hopefully that's got your creative juices flowing. Start with one segment, one local market segment, and go from there. Because once you go through this blueprint, these steps, then you can absolutely rinse and repeat. So choose a new market segment, go through the process again. It works like that. So the next thing is the research phase. What you need to do is prove your concept. So you're asking yourself, does your hunch have oxygen? Does your chosen segment, the local segment that you've selected, do they have desires you can actually satiate? Do they have challenges? Do they have pains? Do they have frustrations? Do they have fears with their current solution? If they've got a current solution, what kind of pleasure are they looking for? Are they looking for pleasure? What is it? What kind of unfulfilled desires that they have? That's what you're looking for. So now this is where people fall down. This is where people don't get it right, because they don't dedicate time to the research phase. It's super, super important. And if you don't do it, then you're just flying blind. So what you need to do, and I've never done anything in my business that's been noteworthy without doing this. And that's time blocking. You got to set aside the time to tackle the big ones, the big, meaty, chunky, those frogs. You know, we call an analogy. I read a good book called "Eat That Frog" one day. So to tackle those frogs, to eat those frogs, you need to set aside time. So time block it, which means get into a. Where do you start? Well, you might start. Now, the beauty of the local domestic market is that it's a lot easier than your international visitors to actually do the research, to start with the research phase. So where do you start? Well, a lot of people so Jillian's saying it's starting to freeze. Jillian, what I would suggest is you just hit refresh. If anyone else can let me know if they're having issues as well. So Scott says it's freezing here too. Can you hit refresh? Let me know how you go with that. Yep, Jenny, a couple of people are saying the same thing. So I'll just give it about 20 seconds. Yep, Mary's saying refresh worked. So guys, refreshing works. Great. Awesome. So guys, you've had the test. The refresh works. Let me know, and we'll push on. If you have the same problem again, let me know. Cool. Okay, so people in this sex segment, they might be neighbors, they might be family, they might be friends of friends, people in your community. So you can actually reach out to them personally. Hey, it's me, it's Josh, you know me. I've got some questions to ask you. I'd love to get some insights from you. You might also, if they're not a personal acquaintance, if it's someone that that you can be introduced to, then you need to ask yourself, what can you actually do to encourage a stranger to help you? So you start with people in your circles, people in your immediate circles, and once if you're not feeling like you've got the pool of data from people in your immediate circles that fit that demographic in that segment, then you might look out and go a bit outside the box and think about how you might approach strangers that are in the demographic, but what you might do to actually to encourage them to help you. So as an example, let's take a look at this. So we've got the local over 60s market segment. So Mary and Joe live next door, right? They fit the segment. I know Mary and Joe travel 3 times a year. I know it. Like they tell me about their trips. So, but they haven't been traveling this year and they won't travel next year for all those reasons I mentioned. So you could talk to Mary and Joe next door. Mary and Joe have got played the bridge at the Bridge Club. So they might introduce you to a whole bunch of their friends you could talk to as well. Some of their travel buddies, they might have done group tours, 20 or 30 people group tours, and they might have this network of people that you could reach out to. So that would be one place to start. You can get a mountain of really, really valuable data from there. So it could also be like your friends of your parents, whoever fits that demographic. But let's say, you know what, you want to go deeper, you want to go further. You're not getting the volume of people in that demographic that you want. Well, what about your local travel agent, approaching your local travel agent? So, but you might say, well, they don't know me. How will they help me? What would I say to them? So what about if you approach your local travel agent? Now, in their database, in their within their company, they've got hundreds and hundreds of people that fit your demographic, your market segment, right? So you might say, well, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm really diving in and understanding a lot about the behaviors, the desires, the challenges, the pains of this particular segment related to travel. So would you make some introductions for me so I could speak to some people in your circles? And what I'll do for you is I'll share my findings with you. Now, what local travel agent wouldn't want that? Hold on. So you're going to go out there and pull hundreds of people in my demographic, and you're going to share all that data with me, all that really, really critical, beautiful, crucial, vital data that's going to help me in my business as well. Hell yeah, I'll do that for you. No problem at all. So that's one way you could go about it. And that goes transcends local market segments. So what do? So how do you find out? What kind of questions can you actually ask? So remember, what you're looking for are needs and desires you can satiate. You're looking for problems or frustrations you can find a solution for. You're looking to offer a painkiller, not just a vitamin, okay? Remember that. You want to offer a painkiller, not just a vitamin, not just a nice to have. You got to have it, not just a nice to have. So let's look at another market segment, just picking one randomly, bachelorette parties. So down here in Australia, we call them hens parties, right? So let's say you have decided that what you do, your activity, your experience is a really good fit for, really high and sophisticated hens parties, bachelorette parties. So, and you found people in that segment. Because a lot of you, like especially you ladies out there listening in, I'm sure you got a bunch of people in your circles that fit this demographic. People who got married sometime in the last 5 years or 10 years. They all had a bachelorette party. It was all organized for them by a close friend. So you might ask them, you've found 50, 100 people in that demographic. So what did you do for that bachelorette party? How long did it run? Before the event started, but between you and me, what was your single greatest desire for the event? For the organizer, what do you think was the major challenge or the major frustration that they experienced in organizing it? How many people attended? What did it cost per person for people to attend? What did you choose, or why did you choose that activity or that venue or that style? What did you love about it? What's the thing that you would change if you could have it over again? So if you ask a bunch of people in your demographic that stuff, if you block out the time to do it and you assess and analyze that data, then you're going to come up with some like a pathway. You're going to come up with some absolute gold that's going to help you get out there and either tweak, iterate, or recreate, completely pull apart and recreate an experience that's going to speak specifically to that segment and say, yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for. It speaks to me. Here's my credit card. So top tips when you're researching. Number one, be curious, because it's always that first one that answers the gate. Oh, really? What do you mean by that? Well, that's interesting. Tell me more. Oh, really? Why is that? So sometimes it's the really juicy stuff that you get after you've dug a little deeper. Number two, avoid trying to extract the answer you're looking for. So approach the research as if you're trying to disprove your theory or your hunch, okay? Number three, good enough is good enough. So don't get stuck in research. There's always going to be an element of risk to what you do. So do your research to your capabilities and then just get it out there into the world, launch, because it's not going to be perfect first time. I can promise you that. But it's going to be that first wave of feedback. That's going to be the most telling, that first wave of feedback. So the sooner you get your research done, the sooner you get your experience out there into the world and test it, and the sooner you start getting that flow of feedback, that is what is going to help elevate it to that next level, to world-class, to elite, okay? So get it out there and let your customer tell you what you need to do to it. And remember, write down the exact language people use. So use this exact language in your marketing and promotion. So you're asking questions, you're listening to what people are telling you, and then you're actually writing down the exact phrases they're using, okay? And then when you're promoting it, when you're actually creating it, you're using those exact words, those phrases. And by doing that, they're going to say, wow, yes, that's hold on, that's uncanny. He's a Nostradamus. That's exactly how I feel. This makes sense to me. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want. Here, where do I sign up? Okay? So use the language that they give you right back at them. So let's have a look at MPT Corporate Events, that local market segment that I built up. So as I mentioned earlier, I started Melbourne Private Tours back in 2007, and it was 5 years later that I started MPT Corporate Events. So guys, just let me know in the chat everything, so there's no freezing, you're coming through loud and clear. That'd be helpful. Just relieve that little uncertainty in my mind. So MPT Corporate Events. Now, it was 5 years later. So obviously you can see here the two websites look really, really different, okay? But to be honest, a lot of the experiences that we created were very, very similar. Same suppliers in many cases. So there wasn't dramatic differences between the two, but they looked very, very different, and they were presented in a very, very, very different way. So why did I launch MPT Corporate Events? As I said, I felt uncomfortable. Something was wrong. I was worried about my over-reliance on international markets. And also, the beautiful thing about MPT Corporate Events, the local corporate market, is that they plugged all the holes in my quiet times. Okay, so a couple of examples. There was end of financial year events right through July and August, which were in the depths of winter. So business was booming in the depths of winter for running end of financial year events, reward and recognition days, and I promoted team building challenges really, really highly. Middle of winter, people wanted to get their teams out and do something to lighten the mood. And not only that, I'll just give you this really quick story. I will. I've started it, so I may as well finish it. So December. Now, in my business, biggest month of the year. We were doing $250,000 a year in sales in December. Massive year, month. But all of those sales, you'll get this, they came between December 21 and December 31. Okay, and December 1 to December 20 was our quietest time of the year. So get your head around that. So 10 days of December made December double as big as any month we had for the rest of the year. So it was gangbuster. We were sending out 25, 30 individual private day tours per day. That's from a company that started with one crappy little secondhand van. So when I launched MPT Corporate Events, I didn't even realize this at the time. I didn't think it through, but corporate Melbourne went berserk for company Christmas parties between December 1 and December, let's call it 19. Absolutely gangbuster. They all had their company Christmas parties in that time. So team building days or activities, events, all the stuff we did. So, and then it was like a switch flicked off. No one wants their company Christmas party after December 20. So that meant that for where previous years I'd been dead and preparing for busy season for the first 20 days of December, I was absolutely gangbuster. And then the switch flicked, and then I moved from corporate events to private day tours for international visitors. It was just beautiful, and it like blew my mind at how well we could fill those gaps. So, but it started with a hunch, and that hunch came from corporate Melbourne, and they were asking me, hey, I like the look of your chef-led tour. I like the look of your Yarra Valley ballooning and barrel tasting tour. Seems like the kind of thing that my team would like in my office. Can you send me some information? So I was like, wow, there's a lot of inquiry coming, but they weren't booking. So I'd be sending the information, and they told me they really liked the look of it, but they weren't booking. I was like, why is it, God, conversion rates are like at 1%, whereas with my tour inquiries, they're like at 17%. Can't work it out. Why, they're saying they like it. Why aren't they converting? Well, I felt the signs were there to really do it properly. Okay. So, based on the volume of inquiry that we were getting, I felt the signs were there to do it properly. So what I did is I went back to all of our corporate inquiries for the last 3 years, and I looked for patterns. So business, industry, company size, the role of the decision maker, the nature of the inquiry. Then the second step was I zeroed in on people just in my networks, friends, family, all those kind of things. And I asked them, because they all work in businesses, a lot of them did not, more people are working online these days, but, do you do anything in your company, like company entertainment? Do you do Christmas parties or team building days, or do you conferencing or reward and recognition programs? What do you do? What happens in your business? Do you spend a lot of money, a little money? What, when, how much per person approximately? And if they weren't the decision maker, you just ask them, get it, like, what do you do? Like, well, what do you reckon it costs? We get a bit of a sense of how much it costs. How big was the company? Who was making the decision? Who was actually organizing these things? And generally, what was the feedback like? What were people saying about the stuff you did? So that stuff was amazing. Like, so much value in this. It was so easy. Just like people in my networks, pick up the phone and call a friend. Hey man, how are you? Like, my family members, people, my neighbors. Like, everyone was giving me great insights. It was just amazing. It was so easy. And then what was the talk? What's the talk around the office? So do people appreciate these events? Is attendance really strong? What about from the attendee, who's organizing it? What sort of frustrations and challenges and desires do they have? And so that was the second step. Third step, I researched industries that were doing really well. So, local businesses in those industries that fit the demographic of the inquiries that I was receiving. So all this stuff together, those 3 steps just gave me this amazing set of data to analyze. It was amazing. So then I came up with a target list of businesses. And I knew what they wanted. I knew how much they liked to spend. I knew who the decision makers generally were. I had so much information about them. So when I hit the phones, it was pretty easy. So I set aside that time block, that time, and I did it the old-fashioned way. I hit the phones with an aim of getting a conversation with the decision maker. I had so much information about them and what their fears, their desires, their challenges, and all that I had a lot of success actually getting that decision maker on the phone. When I did, this is how I went about it. I had a kind of a loose framework. But this is who I am. This is what I do. I'm not selling you anything. That was the most important part. I'm not here to sell you anything. What I'm asking for is your help, and I think you'll benefit from this down the track. Because what I want to do, I'm working on. I've got a great company. This is, you can see from what I've showed you that we're a really, really great, well-regarded business. I'm working on this awesome new range of team building experiences, or company Christmas party options, or company retreats, whatever it is. And I'd like to ask you a few questions because I think you'll be really excited about what I'm going to create. So I'd always stroke your ego. So, you come really well regarded. Seem like you're an authority in X or Y. Blah 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 blah. So, what do you do for X or for Y or for Z? What, when, how much, how often? What's feedback from your staff usually like? What's your single biggest challenge or frustration or fear or desire? That was really, really important. And I'd get a whole range of answers, from, we do a team dinner once a year, right the way through to, we've got this like full corporate entertainment program where we do conferencing and pre and post tours and company parties for departments, blah, 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 blah. So all this stuff. So then this is the really important part. Not only did I get this really valuable information, but finally I said, well, look, thanks so much for your time. It's been really, really valuable and insightful. When we've fully developed these new X, Y, or Z, this new range of whatever, what if I could come back to you with 3 or 4 meaningful, memorable proposal or ideas or suggestions based on what you've told me about what you do that are under budget, that are tick every box that with regard to your desires, that take away all those challenges and pains, make you look amazing in front of your boss. Would you be interested in seeing those? And the answer was inevitably yes, 100%. Yeah, of course. Who'd say no? You know what I mean? So that was great because it gave me permission. To go away, create them, and then literally come back and say, well, there you are. Here's where you sign up. This is exactly what I talked about. They're ready. And I'll send you through an order form, or I can take your credit card details now. So that was how I created Empathy Corporate Events. So moving on really quickly now to pricing. So pricing for a locally geared experience. Now, in my local market recovery program, which I'm going to tell you about at the end of this presentation, I dive deep on pricing, literally a step by step. Do this, then that, then that, then that, then that, to price your locally geared experiences for maximum profit, for outrageously good profit. So what I want to do is just touch on some do's and don'ts and some top tips. So have you ever heard you yourself say this before? locals won't pay for that. Or locals want to do it themselves. You probably said it. I was guilty of it too. I said it myself, naively. And I'll give you my take on this. So my take on pricing with the local market is that it tells me that's absolutely wrong. First of all, that is wrong. Locals will pay. And I could line up in my local market recovery training, I'll line up literally a bunch of people who are best qualified to tell you that's wrong, successful tour operators from all over the world who are absolutely crushing it with the local market, who will tell you the complete opposite. But anyway, bottom line for me, people will pay for stuff, especially now. People are desperate to be entertained right now. And if you're giving them a painkiller, if you're solving a burning problem, if you're satiating a desire that they haven't been able to get satiated elsewhere, if you're giving them pleasure that they crave, then they will pay. They will absolutely pay, okay? That's a promise to you. So your challenge is to solve the pain, the problem, to kill the pain, to satiate that desire, to provide the pleasure that they want, just the way they want it, they crave it, and then and only then price it. So don't worry about pricing until you've done those things, okay? Because if you get those things right, it doesn't matter what it costs, they'll pay for it, okay? So top tips when pricing for the local market. Number one is worry about creating the experience first. So get that right, nail it, dial it in, then turn your attention to how you're going to price it, okay? That's the first thing. Tip two, don't base your price on the marketplace. So by the marketplace, I mean that place where everyone tells you what something should cost, okay? That's wrong. Forget about it, because you're unique. Your set of circumstances is just completely unique to you, okay? So the marketplace says X product, X experience, X tour should cost X amount, okay? Because it does elsewhere, it does there, it does there. Wrong. Don't go about it that way. I urge you not to, okay? So convey your value and people will pay, okay? Even if you're in a competitive landscape, your mission should not be to fall in line with everyone else. Your mission should be to be the apple to the orange, okay? So to differentiate yourself, to set yourself apart. So people can't compare apples with apples. It's just not possible, okay? Because you're doing things differently. You're doing them your way, okay? That is where you're going to succeed. So number three, test. So consider your pricing an ongoing experiment. So you need to find your sweet spot, which will take a little bit of time, a little bit of playing around. But don't be afraid to play around, okay? It should be an ongoing experiment. So test your pricing, okay? So moving on to step 5 that we're going to cover in this presentation. So writing copy that speaks to your audience. So I told you a little while ago about my experience with MPT, Melbourne Private Tours, and MPT corporate events, okay? So I told you I used to get a lot of inquiries. People were like, hey, it sounds great. Wow, wonderful. Send me some information. And it just wasn't booking. People just weren't booking. I was pulling my hair out. Like, this is so frustrating. They're telling me they love what we're doing, but they're not actually, it's not translating, they're not converting, not translating into sales. Why? I figured it out. And I figured it out the old-fashioned way, just by asking questions. So getting on the phone and really getting thick skin, getting prepared for rejection, getting prepared for some hard, home truths. But I figured out why. And that was because I just wasn't writing copy that spoke to my audience, okay? So if I take corporate local businesses, so their motivations, their desires, and their challenges are very, very different to international visitors that are coming into Australia. International visitors, they want this beautiful rosy picture. They want to talk about landscapes and the sun setting, and they want to talk about destinations and iconic landmarks and all these kind of things, that sell destinations. They had very, very different types of desires, and I had to write very, very differently for them. But on the other hand, the desires, challenges, frustrations of local businesses were very, very different. So they had things like, it's really hard to please everyone. Big company, too many people coming, really hard to please everyone. Don't have any time to organize it. It's a really big responsibility. I've got a job to do. Like, this is not my job. I've got a whole job over here, and this is just annoying and it's a distraction. That was what I had a lot of time. My boss, a lot of stress over suppliers. So, I don't use a lot of these suppliers, these different sort of bits and pieces that we're pulling together for these things. So I'm really stressed they'll let me down. I've only used them once, or maybe haven't used them at all. And I'm really stressed that they just won't step up and they won't be what I hoped they would be. Also, my boss is riding me, absolutely riding me. He wants, because it makes he's invited all these, other people from different offices or he's invited customers to these events, and he's stressed. He wants He doesn't want it to fall flat. He wants them to have a great time. So he's riding me hard. He's putting a lot of pressure on me. And, what else he wants from a team event is he wants like a challenge element, or he wants like some kind of outcomes that we have. So there's a whole range of things that he wants. So we also want staff to feel like we appreciate them, that we put a lot of effort into it, that we want strong attendance, we want people to come along. We want really good ideas that don't blow the budget. And we're time poor. We're running a business here. We don't have like a whole day to get out and do something. So time is limited. Okay, so they're the things. They're the things that we're very, very different. So if you look at the two websites there, if you actually dive into those two websites, right, you're going to find that a lot of those experiences are actually sort of kind of similar, like the same sort of suppliers, same regions, same sort of helicopters, same wine blending challenges, or whatever it is. But the copy that we wrote was so very, very different. So I had to hit on all of these points here, okay, when I was writing copy. So what I'm going to do for you guys at the end of this presentation, you're going to see exactly what I mean, because I've dropped in as a little gift a bunch of those resources that I mentioned. One of those is my corporate menu, okay? So you're going to be able to download that. You're going to be able to see firsthand the way I wrote, the copy that I use, high converting copy that I use for local businesses, how that differed from the copy that I use for attracting or converting bookings from international visitors, especially from the American market. So if you wanted to compare the two, I'll give you my corporate menu there. Jump on the website at Mel Private Tours and you have a look at the difference between the way that I speak to the two different audiences. Okay, so marketing, moving along here to step 6. I thought I'd just touch on this. We could go deep, and I go deep in my local market recovery training, but some quick wins and top tips. So over the last couple of months, I've spent a lot of time speaking to marketing authorities in tours and activities. I've spent a lot of time speaking to successful tour operators in my community that are, many are 7-figure tour operators. Many are absolutely crushing it. Many are having a lot of success with the local market. And in the training I'll tell you about in a second, where I do some really deep dive interviews with a lot of them, exactly how are you succeeding, exactly what are you doing to crush it with local market sales, how do you do it differently, what are you saying, why are you having this level of success, and it really, really fascinating. That's just one section of the training, which I'll tell you about, where we dive in and we get some real world examples. But as a bunch of top tips and quick wins for you here right now, we'll just focus on these things. So from the conversations I've had with guys like Chris Torres from Tourism Marketing Agency, who is a real authority in this space, specializing in tours and activities. Some of the conversations I've had with him and with other guys like Kyle Davidson at Source Adventures, who's got like a 7-figure business, who serves only the local market, what's working for him from a marketing perspective, and a bunch of others. So here's some of the things they've told me now. So now is still a really great time to get started with paid ads. And you can get started for as little as $10 a day. You don't need to start with an agency necessarily, because to get started on a budget, there's some really simple steps you can take. And there's some really great resources out there that you can use to get started. So one, if you want to download, there's just jump online. Chris Torres has got a book called How to Turn Lookers into Bookers. And you could download, still, I believe, to this time, a free version of that book online, a digital copy, and give you some really clear, actionable steps as to how to get started with Facebook ads. So I'd encourage you to do that. So with your ads, I would suggest you experiment. Start with a daily budget. You could even start with as little as $10 a day. Probably recommend somewhere up to $30 or $40 or $50 a day. But certainly wait 10 to 14 days from when you launch those ads, when you start serving those ads, because Facebook does go through a learning stage. The pixel needs to learn about your audience. Okay, so the algorithm needs to learn about your audience. So it'll take time. So don't make any changes in that initial time. Allow time for Facebook to learn about your audience, and then evaluate and make some tweaks from that point. But give it time and be prepared to burn a little bit of money in that daily budget while you're testing. And as we speak today, still the most effective, the best, cheapest, and easiest platform that you should be running ads on. And so what I'm going to do next here is talk a little bit about my brief experience and how that can translate to you. So I've been running a lot of ads. I've stepped up my education running Facebook ads over the last 6 months. And what I've learned is that the single most important thing with your ads right now is to get your targeting right. It's your targeting and then your copy. So if you get your targeting right, and you can do that through the testing phase, you've won half the battle. So if you're not familiar with targeting, there's so many options that you can choose from, and you should be getting laser focused on your targeting using options such as these. So age and gender and location, education, relationship, status, whether they're business owners, whether they've got a job or whether they have employers or employees. Are they parents? How old are their children? What organizations do they are they interested in? Magazines do they read? What software do they use? What stores do they shop in online? The shows they watch, experts they follow. What kind of competitors of yours do they follow? Have they shown interest in? What authors do they love? And what Facebook pages are they really, really engaged in? And all this sort of stuff coming from that market segment that that local market segment, you're going to start building out audiences really, really effectively if you get laser focused on their interests. So you need to ask yourself, who's already captured your audience's attention? So a general rule before we move on, when you're creating an audience, I've learned, and that your sweet spot is in that kind of 500,000 to $1 million range. That's your sweet spot for an audience size when you're starting out. That's what I've learned, and that's what everything I've studied has told me, and that's the results that I'm seeing based on that. So moving along. Now, these tips come from discussions that I've had with people that are having a lot of success as tour business owners in my community with the local market. So biggest piece of advice I could leave you with: focus when you're talking about things that you like, quick wins, cheap wins, free wins. Focus on your Google My Business listing, okay? So you need to go in, you need to claim it if you haven't, and optimize it. Optimizing that listing, by that I mean filling in every little bit of possible data, image, review that you possibly can, because Google is and will continue to give more priority to folks that are taking the time to curate their Google My Business listing, because this is going to be, guys, your the first experience people have with your company long before they get to your website. So see this, your Google My Business listing, if you don't already, as your homepage, effectively, the homepage to your website, your company, your people's first experience with you. So a couple of things you need to be mindful of: have at least 15 5-star reviews on that page, on that listing. Okay, that's really, really important. And of all SEO tactics, this is proven by people that are doing it in your space, running businesses like yours, that this is the quickest way to produce results. Optimizing that listing is the quickest way for you to produce results. So make sure you go in, tag your business as a tour operator. That's really, really important. Add every single description you can think of. Go through all pages, so particularly your product pages, and look for ways to add more references to the city or the destination that you're running your experiences in. I do an awesome interview with Kyle Davison from Sourced Adventures, where he tells you step by step exactly what you need to do with the optimization of your Google My Business listing to get outrageously good results. So I'll tell you about that a little later, as I mentioned. Lastly, local collaborations. So don't understate how vital, how important these are. So the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, right now in the time that we find ourselves in, there has never been a better time for productive local partnerships and collaborations. That's a fact. It's just so important for you to get these going, okay? So everyone's hustling right now. Everyone will continue to be hustling for the unforeseeable future. The rules have changed. We're all playing a new game. No matter what corner of the world you find yourself in, we're playing a new game. Conventions out the window, okay? We're not doing things the way we were a year ago. People are desperate to support local business to ensure their survival. So there's two types of local collaborations, and I recommend that you really start thinking deeply about both of these. So the first is local business collaboration. So who can you set up a collaboration with? Who can you explore a partnership, a collaboration with? So let's say, for example, you're running photography tours, just to give you some context. So I've got a few photography-based tour operators in our community that have set up insanely profitable collaborations with their local camera stores. Okay, so the nuts and bolts of it, they differ, but it is mutually beneficial, and they are having some real success driving some high ticket bookings like 2 or 3 day photography retreats via a collaboration that they implemented with their local camera store. Okay, really, really successful. One in particular is doing more sales through 2 local collaborations with a local camera store than they were doing with the local domestic market in its entirety for all of 2019. So they've just gone, holy crap, I cannot believe the success that we're having with this. Foodie walking tours. So if you're running like a foodie walking tour, let's say you've got a local barista in your region who has been restricted, has been hit hard. A year ago, they might say, no, I'm not interested in working with you or doing any type of collaboration because I'm too busy pouring coffees, mate. It's not for me. It's not my thing. People have got a different mindset these days. People have had a shock. People are scared. People have had to hustle. People have had to get entrepreneurial. People's ears are open and people are receptive to ideas. So let's say you had something like a local barista that does that could organize like a behind the scenes coffee making experience. So getting creative, getting thoughtful, thinking about who you might be able to explore a collaboration with. If you run kayaking tours, what about your local outdoor stores? If you run a city tour, what about like a local artisan or a boutique or a local designer, a jewelry designer who might want to collaborate with you as well? So what you need to ask yourself, and I'll reinforce this in a second, who do you share a customer with? Who shares a customer with you? Get a list, put a target list together. Next, the second type of local collaboration would be a local tour, activity or experience collaboration. So following on from that, and just to reinforce that, in the past, guys, you might have competed for business. We are not competing anymore. Now is not the time for any of us to be competing for business, okay? We're not competitors. We're all in this together, and we'll find a way out together in some capacity. So making bookings, for example, on each other's behalf for a percentage, for a clip, is one thing that could be really, really effective, okay? With like-minded tour and activities of equal quality, you could consider enhancing your experiences by pairing 2 complementary tours or activities together. What about if you sold them as a bundle? Okay, you get Tour X and Tour Y, we promote them together. Our bandwidth, our marketing bandwidth has increased, and we can actually sell a package of 2 complementary experiences. What about if it's the adventure experience? You do a SUP tour and a kayak tour. What about if it's a cycling tour and a hiking tour? What about if it's rafting and blah, blah, blah? Whatever it is, okay? What are some of the complements what you do that you could sell as a package? So start speaking to local operators in your region about something along those lines. This is a really awesome example. This is probably the best example I've seen of a local tour operator collaboration. So check these guys out. Jump on their website, Experience Vancouver Group. So you can see there, they've got a platform that offers walking tours, foodie tours, bicycle tours, boat, kayak, jet ski, SUP. So in Vancouver, all of these guys, they had identified each other as elite tour operators, the best of the best, okay? So they pooled their resources, their reservations, their operations, their marketing budget, all these things, and they created this platform, Experience Vancouver Group, and it has exploded their business. I'm not saying you do this in your region, but use this as a model. It's exploded their businesses. It sells itself, because anyone who goes there, they don't have to dig too deep about these businesses, because they know already, because they've been selected or they've chosen each other to form a part of this collaboration, this platform. They know they're the best of the best. When you go to Vancouver, you use the Experience Vancouver Group. End of story. Okay, so that has been immensely successful and has exploded their businesses in a way that they couldn't have done if they've been going it alone and even competing for each other's business. Okay, so the question: who do you share a customer with, and how can you help each other? So when you get to that point, you've got to go take it a step further. Because the biggest way things will fall flat is if you approach your, your potential collaborator and you're like, hey, we should make some referrals. We should send some business each other's way. We should do this. We should do that. And everyone says, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, awesome, great. Yeah, wow. Nothing happens. Okay, nothing happens. Why? Because it's not documented. Someone didn't own it. Someone didn't take it a step further. And that's what you need to do. So take the time, flesh out a proposal. And in that proposal, you're going to have things like, the details of how you see the collaboration looking, mutual benefits, rough numbers, the next steps from both parties, and what do you see as the responsibilities of both parties? That's the stuff that's going to really, really move the needle. So, guys, we've covered a lot. Really quick recap. What we've learned here today: how to actually identify a market segment that you can serve right now, and why this is going to be your fastest road to recovery. This is why the local market, even if it's not happening right now, in this instant, right in this immediate, getting set up, making sure you have got everything in place to literally explode out of the blocks when the world opens up again. That is going to be the way that you're going to say, holy crap, 2021 was the best year of my business has ever had. And I've now set up for long-term success. So the local market is where that's going to come from. That's where it's going to happen. Okay. And hopefully for any of you skeptics, I've kind of blown a lot of those doubts, those self-doubts, those will it work for me's out of the water. So how to green light your idea with a really deep dive research technique, do's and don'ts for pricing a locally geared experience, how to change your messaging to speak to a new customer and have them like literally pull out their credit card and say, yes, I need this. This is for me. And some marketing quick wins and top tips. So folks, where do we go from here? Well, as with most things in life, having success in filling your tours with locals and domestic customers is really going to be found in the details, right? That's the reality. It's going to be found in the details. So right at this point in time, can you take what you've learned today, take it away, walk away and implement, boom, and have some real success implementing what you've learned today? Yes, absolutely. I think all of you can have immense success targeting the local market with what I've given you today. But what's your level of confidence? Is it 40%? Is it 50%? Something around that mark. Well, what would your level of confidence be if I could walk you through the entire process, step by step, task by task? If I told you all what not only needed to be done, but exactly how you need to do it. If I literally held your hand and walked you through the process, if I shared every one of my lessons learned, the exact strategies I use to grow my own local market bookings to 400,000 annually and push my business as a whole into multi-seven-figure territory. So what I want to do, guys, is introduce you to local market recovery without further ado. So I'm incredibly excited. It's a program I launched a short while ago. And what it is a proven roadmap that's going to quickly allow you to grow local market sales in your business, in your tour business, to something that you never imagined, literally in as little as a month, to start implementing, to run through these there's actually 7 core steps in as little as a month, and to start seeing bookings coming in from your local and domestic market in as little as a month. So as I said, if you're running any type of experience and more, here's some of those ones that I mentioned to you a little bit earlier: wine tours or boat cruises, kayaking, hiking, walking, cycling, wineries. You've got an attraction, zip lining, photography, culinary, stand-up paddling, women-only tours, rafting, all-terrain vehicle. I could go on and on and on. Then this applies to you, okay? You can apply this framework, this blueprint, and have me walk you through the steps one by one to have outrageous success selling your experiences to the local domestic market. So really quickly, some of those modules, a quick peek here. So the first one's all about how to find, choose, and create a clear customer avatar from your local or domestic market, okay, to know exactly who it is you're serving. Number 2 is finding out exactly what they want. So you know who you're going to serve. This is where you find out what they want. So like that you're literally there saying, yes, wow, that like these are my problems, these are my desires, these are the pains I want finding a solution for. These are the desires that I have that I need satiating, and you're gonna understand this intimately, so that you're pretty much going to guarantee that they sell. Next, we dive into how to iron out the creases. So build an experience that you're absolutely certain is exactly what your customer wants and is pretty much guaranteed to just sell wildly, okay? So module 3 is where we iron those creases out and create something that is guaranteed to sell. Next, Module 4 is about pricing. So a step-by-step approach. Literally, here's how you start. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do that, and then punch out that number at the bottom. And that is going to be an outrageously profitable tour for the local market. That is not the people are going to buy. Okay. So, and obviously diving deeper on some of those mistakes that we need to avoid and busting a lot of those myths that we have about local pricing. Module 5, copy. So super simple writing techniques to target the new market. Why what's worked before isn't going to work for you now, and how to just pull those strings, get them to pull out that credit card and say, yes, they're speaking to me. I need this. Here's my credit card. Module 6, we dive super deep on marketing, okay? Because we're after quick wins, all right? We want to get to the selling as quickly as possible, okay? So module 6 is all about marketing. So quick wins, how to actually get this stuff set up, how to get Facebook ads running, how to optimize your local listings, how to get those local collaborations humming along, how to get your experiences selling on the right online platforms that speak to the local market. All these things we cover in marketing. Module 7 is all about those real world examples. So really super successful tour business owners just like you that are crushing it with local market sales, and exactly how they're doing it. Okay, how have they done it? Why have they been able to have breakout years? Why have they been able to double their bookings? Why have they been able to have outrageous success when everyone else is struggling? Okay, so we find out we find out their secrets and how you can apply those secrets to your business. And then module 8, we look at safety. So safety, obviously, super important. So how super successful operators are taking COVID safe to an elite level, receiving industry recognition, how you can do the same, and how you can use it in your marketing. Okay, so to actually promote what you're doing. So I've seen a few questions coming in that I'll get to shortly. So guys, hopefully you've seen today from me why you need to target the local market, what it can do for your business, and how it's absolutely possible to really, really rapidly attract local and domestic customers that you never even knew existed, you possibly didn't know, you're skeptical about, and see an explosion of sales no matter what obstacles are holding you back right now. And if those obstacles are so severe that you just can't trade right now, then guess what? Getting this in place, implemented, so you are ready to hit the ground and just go boom and literally double, 2x your business by serving the local market to complement other types of markets that you've served previously. It is the way forward, okay? You owe it to yourself. It's a responsibility that you have, because COVID could be the best thing that ever happened to you, your tour business, and your livelihood. So I feel strongly about making this system as accessible as possible to as many business owners as I could. So, excuse me. As such, what I've done with this local market recovery training is brought the price down to a place where any established business can easily afford it, even right now, today. And to keep costs even lower, I've designed 2 options for you to enroll that are going to give you flexibility to choose the plan that fits your budget and fits your level of ambition. So if you are willing to invest today, and if you're willing to make a decision that is going to totally change the way that 2021 unfolds for you, then this is exactly how you do it. If you could be sitting back in a year and saying, wow, like I can't believe how much I've benefited from this terrible thing that's happened to our world. It is the thing that catapulted me. It's the thing that 2x'd my business. So option 1, the starter option. So what you get is those 8 core steps with those practical result-oriented instruction, those recorded videos that I've put together for you to walk you through the step, dozens of templates and checklists and cheat sheets done for you, resources that I've literally dragged out of my business. You can drop into your business. You literally plug them in, press play, accompanying action steps for each module to make sure that you're actually taking action, using those drag and drop resources and implementing as you go. Plus, there's a 2-hour live Ask Me Anything Q&A session with access to recordings. I run those in 2 1-hour sessions, so you can jump on and get some current help and advice from me. So that's $69 over 6 months, or it's a one-time payment of $357. The second option is the accelerator option for those more ambitious And what you get is everything that I've just talked about in the starter option. Okay, you get the lot, but you get an extra thing. You get the added bonus of 2 hours of one-on-one accelerator coaching with me. Okay, and where we can really fast track your progress, fast track your success. And you also get rapid email support from my email support team, which is me. So you get that one-on-one time with me that is going to really fast track your success and really, really start seeing you move the needle very, very quickly. So that option is $99 a month over 6 months, or it's a one-time payment of $557. Now, two things I want to leave you with. First of all, one is that I with all of my programs, I like to make it completely risk-free. So I like you to be able to just say, I can't lose. I can jump in. I can commit today. I can spend 14 days. I can literally run through the training. You might even have time to run through it twice if you literally wanted to devote yourself to it. And if I don't think I can get results, if I don't think it's for me, then I can certainly, no hard feelings. You just need to send me an email and I'll send you your money back. It's as simple as that. Okay, so I want to remove every obstacle from you seeing what this can do for your business. So jump in, take a look around. If you don't think it's for you, no hard feelings, send me an email, boom, you get your money back straight away. Okay, that's my promise to you. Now, one final thing for all of you that are thinking, wow, I see it, it makes sense. I know what this can do for my business, but I'm just so tight budget-wise right now. For you guys on this call, I've got something special for you. So let's call this a program relaunch. I launched this for the first time back in August. So I'm bringing it back to the community. Now I've been having a lot of fun adding some improvements, some extra resources and tools into the training. So what I want to do today for you guys is offer you an unbelievably good bonus. And that is going to give you a chance to get the starter package for only $157, $200 off the starter package, or the 6 month monthly payment for only $49. So a massive saving. The accelerator option, if for those more ambitious, you're going to get a chance to get that for $357 rather than $557, or you're going to be able to get the spread it out over 6 months for $79. So a ridiculously good fast action bonus for you guys to jump into the training today, right now. So here's what we're going to do. Here's how you get that bonus. So I'm going to stick around now. There's no timer clocks or countdowns or scarcity tactics, all those things. Quite simply, I'm going to show you some links. I'm going to show you how you can get enrolled. I'm going to put them in the chat, and those will literally take you straight to, well, I'll show you that now. So here's the links. And I'm going to drop these links into the chat in just a second, and they're going to give you direct access to the checkout page, which is going to look like this. You're going to see here that the code is automatically applied, and you're going to see the discount applied, and you're going to be able to, boom, jump in, pop in your details, and enroll, and you are in. You have full lifetime access to the training. So I'm going to stick around, and I'm going to answer any questions that you've got. And I will have those codes there for you to get enrolled in the program while I'm answering questions. When the questions run out, I'll deactivate those codes, and we can all get on with our day. So I'm going to move over to questions in a second. I'm going to put those links for you in the chat right now, and which I'm going to do just here. So in the chat, you're going to see 4 links. You're going to see the starter option links for the one-time payment, and you're going to see the starter option for the accelerator, and you're going to see the starter option for the monthly payment, and then you're going to see the 2 links for the accelerator option there. And those discounts have already been applied. So if you just jump into the chat now, you're going to be able to click on those links. It's going to take you straight to the checkout page, and you're going to be able to register for local market recovery right now, and jump in, take advantage of that fast action, take advantage of the of that 14-day no questions asked, and start changing your business, start setting yourself up for 2021, and start making this this coming year the biggest, the best, the most successful you have ever had, and almost be thankful, I guess, of what this pandemic is giving you the opportunity to do. So I've got those codes there. If someone can just let me know that they are having no issues actually getting through the checkout page, that'd be appreciated. Those links seem to be working for me. If you could just give me a thumbs up in the chat, let me know that. Now, the last one I'm just going to also drop in there is a few gifts for you that I alluded to earlier. A few of those resources that I mentioned that you can use now today that are going to help you. You've got my corporate experience menu, so you can take a look at how I spoke to that local market segment, the copy that I used, the pains that I touched on, how I alleviated those pains and problems, how I delivered the promise of the desire and satiation, and how I really spoke to the challenges and the problems that they had. So I'm going to drop those in now as well, and you'll be able to get hold of that gift. And so, yeah, as I said, folks, what I'm going to do is stick around, answer any questions that you've got, and those links I'll keep live until I jump off the call. Okay, so what do we got here? So first one I got, so Paul says, my problem is not finishing the tasks, forever making lists. I get started on an idea, then move on to something else when half done. Can your program make me do this? So Paul, emphatically, yes, yes, yes. Well, the first thing is the proof's in the pudding. You get that 14 days for you to jump in, make sure it's right for you. The second is that throughout this program, throughout this training, what I've done is I've attached estimated timeframes to what it should take for you to actually achieve the result that's laid out in the step. Okay, so I put it out. I haven't actually called them modules in the training. I've called them steps. Okay, because I see them as a series of steps. So you start with step 1, and I've identified that this should take around 1 to 2 weeks. Step 2 should also take you, step 1, just about a week, really, to get clear on that. Step 2, the research phase, is the longest phase. And again, depending on your level of ambition, but I've suggested that 2 weeks in the research phase, if you're time blocking out a requisite amount of time to actually do that, absolutely. Okay. Step 3 is about green lighting your idea, which is a 1 to 2 week process as well. So Paul, if you can stick with those, certainly if you're going to go to the and purchase the accelerator option, and I'm going to work with you and schedule a couple of, even if it's, well, that's the other thing about the accelerator, because I'm very flexible in the way that I work. Some people who take the accelerator option like to schedule 2 1-hour structured sessions. Others like to break it down into shorter, more regular sessions. Some people break it down into 30-minute sessions every 2 weeks. Other people even like to break it down into 15-minute check-ins once a week or once every 2 weeks. How you work is completely up to you. I fit in with you. It's the way I like to work as well. So we will keep you on track, Paul. The steps are clearly laid out. I've told you how long you should take on those particular steps. And as I say, I've created this training to enable people to be selling to a new type of customer literally within a month. If that's their level of ambition, that is entirely possible. So my advice, Paul, jump in and check it out and be the judge of that for yourself. Gillian, fantastic presentation, plenty of ideas. Thank you very much, Gillian. Really appreciate that. David says, difficult to see how you can serve the corporate market here as people are working from home. Companies are very reluctant to bring their staff together. So, David, 2 things. First of all, that applies to some, but it certainly doesn't apply to everyone. The second is one of my most popular events was an online wine blending challenge. Okay, I don't need to say more about that, but what I teach you to do is think outside the box. Okay, because companies are very reluctant. Some, yes. All no. Okay, what type of experiences can you create that are COVID safe? There's lots of them. Okay, and this program will help you to open your eyes to think broadly and to come up with the types of ideas and concepts, and then test those ideas and concepts, and then implement those ideas and bring them to life. Okay, and when bring them to life, be guaranteed pretty much that they're going to sell because people have told you that's what they want. Okay, so I hope that answers that. And the second thing, David, is that you may be right. You may be right. But what you can do, the best thing you can do right now is, well, okay, you can quit. Do you feel like quitting? you're here on this call, and COVID started 8 months ago. So my guess is no. My guess is you're in this for the long haul. My guess is you're setting up for success for the future. Okay, this is the best way to do that. Okay, because if you're hoping and praying, if you're sitting on your hands, I don't mean to be insulting. I'm not saying you are sitting on your hands. If you are pressing pause, if you're waiting for this to blow over, if you're hoping to get back to the way things were before, then, what you can do, the best thing you can possibly do is get yourself, and I use the analogy and might try to find a better one, in the front row of that grid, because things are going to change. This is not going to go on forever, okay? And it may all be over in a matter of months, may possibly all be over in a matter of months. So are you ready? Because once this is over, once restrictions are eased, once people are allowed outside in groups larger than 6, well, there is going to be an avalanche, a tsunami of pent-up demand, okay? Are you going to be ready? Are you going to be ready to serve them? Because even if you can't serve them now, okay, you could 2x, 4x, or 10x your business next year if you are primed to cash in on all that pent-up demand, okay? Jenny says, yeah, Paul, I didn't see that, but yeah, 100% right. It's about preparing for the future, and this is the way that you can do that. Jenny says, yep, she agrees with David in London. I think I've really addressed that. People are allowed to meet outside in a group according to latest restrictions. So, Jenny, there's a number of things. One is, what can you do? Because there are things, because I'll guarantee you there are thousands and thousands and thousands of businesses and decision makers out there right now that are having the same challenges, but there's all the desire in the world, okay? So what can you offer them? What can you do? What is something that is COVID safe right now that there's a pent-up demand for, that there's a desire for? And if there's not, okay, then setting yourself up now, because we're not talking, I don't believe that we're talking about a year or 2 years into the future that our local and domestic markets are going to open up, that people are going to be able to restriction on movement is going to be eased. Or I don't believe I think we're talking a matter of months. I think we're talking, whether it's 3, 4, 5, 6 months. What could you do in 6 months to put yourself in a position to 2 or 4 or 5x your business in 2021 by cashing in when those floodgates of pent-up demand open up? So Jillian says, yep, exactly right. Preparing for the future, because this is going to end someday, and being fully prepared is exactly what you need to do. Scott, thanks. Really appreciate your time, Josh. My pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. Paul, enrolled. Fantastic, Paul. Really great to have you on board. The time frame concept. And as I say, Paul, I'm all about results. This is a results business. It's a results game. And what I love nothing more is results. What I love nothing more is you people out there telling the world about the results that you get, okay? So that's awesome. David, thanks, Josh. Great stuff as always. Really appreciate that, David. Just scrolling back through here. Yeshi, thank you. Great presentation. My pleasure. Just making sure there's a few things down here. Cool. Look, we've still got about 25 people on the workshop, and I'm sticking around, guys. So I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. I'm guessing there's 25 people on the workshop because you got some questions, or you're sitting on the fence. And I just want to reiterate that to all of you. That's fast action bonus I've mentioned. I've literally never done anything like that in my life. That is a more than 50% off bonus to get into the program. For me, it is literally a no-brainer. You're getting an opportunity to get into what can certainly be a life-changing training. You're getting it at a price that, even in extreme times of hardship, I'm hoping that a lot of you see that's something that you can squeeze, and you've got a chunk of time to dive in, make sure it's right for you. It's literally risk-free and at a price that certainly you won't see again, because, you know, I believe that this training is as valuable as most $500 to $1,000 programs that I've experienced. So Ken says, great presentation, full of passion, buddy. Thanks, Ken. I need to get you talking to a business owner I'm working with now on corporate events. We'll be in touch. Have to run. Say hi to Susie. For all of you, Susie's my wife. Ken, awesome. Thanks for coming along, mate. Really appreciate you getting up early. You're in my corner of the world, so it's always an early start, 6 a.m. So yeah, guys, I'm here. I'm all yours. If you've got some questions, even not related to my local market recovery training, then by all means, this is the time. Thank you for serving. Here in Ethiopia, we are working on the domestic market. We'll apply this wonderful training, let you know the result. That's awesome. So happy to hear that, Yeshi, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of success. You know, and that's, you know, to a lot of you skeptics out there that don't believe they have local market segments, then that want what they have, or that are even worth exploring. If I could count the number of conversations that I've had with people in my community that have both in this training or you know, in my general community, in the emails that I get that say, I just don't have a local market, and I say, you know what, I'm going to spend 5 minutes with you and let's run through it. You know, like, I love a challenge, and there's never been a conversation I've had, I don't believe, where I've come up with 2, 3, 4, 5 legitimate local market segments that could work for them. Okay, so for anyone out there who doesn't believe that they have a local market segment, as I said on the workshop, you know, if you're running your experiences on a remote island, if you're running, you know, extended multi-days in a remote part of Africa, in a very, very poor part of Africa, there are certain circumstances that this can't be applied. But, you know, for all intents and purposes, you will find customers that you never knew existed that you could sell your experience as is, recreate, iterate, or simply adapt to have really, really, really amazing success. Carmen says, thank you. I've decided to focus on the local market. Also, that's awesome, Carmen. Look, I hope we see you in the training. As I say, it's at a one-time only, significantly reduced price on this workshop. And of course, you know, you get that beautiful opportunity to jump in and take a really good look around for yourself to decide if it's absolutely going to be right for you. Kristen says, I believe the domestic market is there, but with no budget, it's difficult to get the word out. Really found your story inspirational. Fantastic. Rodrigo, awesome. I've just took the leap and jumped into the monthly payment plan. Fantastic, Rodrigo. Down there in Brazil, I believe. That's awesome. Great to have you on board, mate. Really excited. And I think, Rodrigo, you are also have purchased other of our programs. I think Inside the Tour Business from memory, which is another one of our programs, which is awesome. Shouldn't be plugging that on this workshop. But anyway, so guys, I'm here to answer. Yes, that's right, Rodrigo, and you've had to pivot in recent times and start serving your local market, because I think from memory you'd shifted your business model and become more of an ITO, rather than a tour operator. I love to see that people are pivoting. So just running back through here. Yep, got some. Seems like I'm covering off most of the questions at this point. I'm just going to go down and see if there's anything I missed. Scott, I'm guessing that's Scott Myers. Scotty, you're still on the call. Thanks, Josh. Really appreciate your time. Awesome, Scott. Glad you could make it. If I have got the right Scott, let me know. I think from memory, Scott, you're a member of a couple of other programs as well, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong if you're still on the call. Francesca, thank you, Josh. Really great. I will think about your offer. Thanks again for your time and your inputs. Francesca, much appreciated. I'm glad you really enjoyed it. And look, as I say, I'm going to deactivate those codes fairly shortly when you guys run out of questions. So now is your chance, Francesca, to jump in, take action, make a decision that's hopefully going to really change the way that the 2021 unfolds for you, and of course take advantage of that fast action bonus and that 14-day no questions asked. Cool, Scott got the right Scott. So yeah, I think Scott from is it 7-figure tour business that you're enrolled in, or is it inside the tour business? I'm not quite sure, but anyway, hopefully we see you in local market recovery. Yep, having a look through here. No, so look, I'll probably pull, as we say down in here in Australia, pull up stumps pretty quickly. Pull up stumps, a cricket analogy, meaning to end the game. So if I don't see any other questions coming through, I'll do just that. So last chance, I think, guys, there's still a good sort of 15 people in the room, and guessing if you're in the room, you're either thinking about a question that you might want to ask, or you're thinking about taking the leap and jumping into the training, which I very much hope you do. To me, it really seems like a no-brainer. I've made this insanely affordable. It's something that I want to do to help out people in this community, and obviously giving people the chance to jump in and check it out. You know, play around, take a look at what we've got on offer, and make sure it's 100% right for you. Is awesome as well. So, yeah, I'll probably just give it another few seconds. If I don't see any other questions, guys, I'll assume that everyone is done for the session. I'll get off and jump into breakfast time with my kids, which is always fun. One of my favorite times of the day, kind of. Sometimes is, sometimes isn't. I've got a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So it's always pretty hectic. I've got another one on the way, actually due in April. So life's gonna get pretty crazy around here, pretty quickly. So to be honest, an extra minute or two to sit in my office before the carnage begins. First day of school holidays yesterday as well. So yeah, which is great in some ways, kind of a double-edged sword. So anyway, guys, I'm going to shut down. Thanks so much for all of you. Paul says, thanks, Josh. Love the passion. Thanks, Paul. Love that people love it as well, mate. So really good to have you here. And yeah, I'm going to sign off now, and I'll deactivate those codes. So guys, from me, have a great Friday down here. Thursday for you guys over in the States. Late Thursday night for you guys in Europe. You know, keep hanging in there, and this is all going to be over soon. And I reckon that we're all going to find a year from now we are absolutely crushing it, irrespective of whether you're in this training or not. We're going to find that. So this was all just a bad dream. So yep, from me that's all, and I will be in touch soon, guys. Cheers. Bye bye.